Everyone, I'm Ed Bates from Kilworth Chiropractic, and welcome to another daily dose. And I suppose my tip today is another powerful tool to help you look after what is undoubtedly the most important organ in your body, namely your brain. Again, your brain controls everything you do. In other words, every single one of your cells are merely following the instructions given by your brain. So, depending on the type of stimulus, whether it's good or bad, your body will respond in a particular way. And this is why stress can be so damaging. So, if your body and nervous system feels threatened, it's going to create a fight or flight response in your cells, shifting you away from growth and repair into survival or defense mode. Now, when I say the brain responds, it's not strictly true. Rather, it's your mind that responds and gives out the instructions. In other words, your brain is actually nothing more than a physical device. So, God forbid, if I was to drop down dead, my brain would still be there, but I'd obviously be dead. In other words, it's my mind, my essence, if you like, the electricity or the innate intelligence that makes me alive. And because it's gone, I'd be gone. In other words, your brain is like a radio, and your mind are the stations. And this is important because our minds have two major parts: an unconscious part and a conscious part. And amazingly, according to science, only about 5% of our behavior and our actions are actually from our conscious mind. In other words, our unconscious minds run the show. And what programmed our unconscious minds is nothing more than our experiences, especially in the first 7 years of our lives. In other words, our unconscious mind can sometimes be programmed on false information. I can't do this. I'm useless. I'm unlovable. I'm unworthy. I'm going to be sick, etc., etc. So how can we reprogram these beliefs that program our unconscious minds? Well, what I'm talking about is like having a warm bath for your mind, and it's meditation. Now, just to be clear, I am definitely no expert in meditation. I've dabbled, I've played around with it, I've invested in certain gadgets like this device, which is basically a Muse headband. But regardless, the research is incontrovertible. Meditation can help decrease stress and can help decrease emotional reactivity. One great description was to imagine standing in a storm, feeling the cold, the biting wind, the sharpness of the rain, tearing at your skin. Well, meditation is a bit like looking at the storm, but through a window from the sanctuary of your home. I have to take this off. Now, admittedly, meditation has had a pretty bad rap over the years, with a lot of us picturing people who meditate as, out there, way out there. Something that's done by sort of dope smoking hippies, playing didgeridoos and waving dream catchers over their heads. Or we think it's something that must be far too difficult. Well, again, in my albeit and admittedly limited experience, it is simply a way to help you quieten your unconscious mind, and help you become more present by teaching you to observe how your bodies and your minds respond. So perhaps over time, rather than flying off the handle and getting angry at someone, as soon as you become aware of that visceral response or that visceral feeling, that gut feeling, there's that little moment between what they do and your response. And during that little time, that little moment, you're simply able to press the pause button, get your mind into gear, and then respond in a much more rational way. So if you don't meditate, here are some really simple suggestions. And probably the easiest is just to take your favorite song and literally listen to that song every day. Probably the best time of the day is going to be in the mornings, early in the mornings. Literally get yourself into a chair, a comfortable seat, feet flat on the floor, and literally just do nothing other than breathe and listen. And if you do that every day, you may be surprised at the effect later on in the day, how less reactive you may become. Another simple technique is to simply sit and focus on your breathing. Almost, if you like, follow a single particle of air, through your nose, down into your lungs, and then slowly out again, noticing its temperature, noticing the sound, and do this for a few minutes. Now, it sounds so simple. Yet what I found was how amazing was how often my concentration drifted away. And each time it does drift away, don't just beat yourself up and castigate yourself. Just literally calmly bring yourself back to focus on the next breath. And you may be surprised over time, how you build up that ability, build up that the strength. Other tips as regards meditation can be to sit and listen to guided meditations. And there's so many out there on the internet. Tara Brach, Tara, and then her surname's Brach. She has some great ones. Or you can even use an app such as Headspace. It's great because it can slowly build complexity. And you can literally start off with 10 minutes a day, and you do that for 10 days. So that's my tip for today. Play around with it. We've got lots more time than we used to. Play around it, try it. And in the meantime, have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.